Welcome to MetroSTL. I'm Charles Jaco. We're pleased to be joined today by Rabbi Yousef Landa of Chabad of Greater St. Louis. This weekend, of course, Saturday evening is the beginning of Passover, and Passover generally begins with a Seder, a celebratory meal. And the rabbi and his associates have come up with a fascinating idea in pandemic times for a sort of Seder-To-Go. Rabbi, thank you very much for being with us. Explain to me, what is the idea behind these Seder at home kits you passed out from Chabad of Greater St. Louis today?
Well, we kind of realized this is last year when the pandemic just hit, that Seder is such an integral part of Passover, and it's the most celebrated Jewish family event. And the nature of the Seder is children asking questions about whatever is on the Seder plate and the origin of the holiday and the history and the traditions of Passover. They ask questions to their parents and grandparents, and the parents and grandparents respond. And in this way, we communicate the great traditions to the younger generation. And this wasn't going to happen because in so many homes it wasn't going to happen because of the pandemic. And so there were lots of people who were upset, weren't going to have a Seder at all. If they were going to have a Seder, they didn't know how to do it, and they were intimidated by that because they always went parents to parents and grandparents to do this, and everybody felt bad. So we came up with this plan of getting all of the accoutrements, if you will, of the Seder, the symbolic foods, the matzah, the handmade shmura matzah, and step-by-step guidance and instructions of how to conduct the Seder. And so the novices can do a Seder on their own and feel that they're performing well. And we called it Seder-To-Go. It was a hit. It was a hit in the sense that many, many people took us up on the offer for these free Seder kits. But it also, the reactions were so strong. You saved our life. We got notes from people who they were really, really down at the beginning of the pandemic about their inability to have family over, which is an integral part of Passover. And we kind of made that more possible for so many people. And we were grateful to be in that position that we came up with that concept. It was a joint effort by the 5 Chabad centers in the St. Louis greater region. It was a large undertaking, but we were very excited to be able to do it. And this year we're doing the same thing.
It sounds like this the Seder-To-Go included both the foods and instructions on how to do everything but the brisket. And you said people were absolutely delighted. Absolutely delighted with this. I can imagine, especially younger people who are away from home, and generally it's the elders of the family who take care of the tradition, the reading, the asking the questions, and they may be teenagers just out of the house. They might be college students. They might be young people who've just started a family, and they have no idea how to do this. It sounds like you guys rode to the rescue.
Yeah. That's exactly the way people reacted. That this rescued their Passover for them. We were very glad to be there. Chabad, in general, this is the work that we do. We try to take Jewish traditions and make it more accessible and more available. By the way, an interesting ingredient that we put into our Seder-To-Go kit this year was a card game about Passover. So, the children can become part of it. And that's really part of the tradition. We want to keep them present. We want to keep them awake. And then the conversation that needs to take place about the origins and the history and the meaningfulness of all of these things can take place because they're awake and they're engaged and they're participating. So a game is a perfect fit. So it's a little Passover card game that we include. The whole family can participate in. Really nice thought.
That sounds delightful. It's fascinating to me that the first Passover, of course, took place during the plagues. when the angel of death agreed to pass over the homes of Jewish families who had anointed the doorposts and lintels in lamb's blood. And I wonder if as a rabbi, you've given much thought to the idea that here we are again in sort of a plague year, and how the Seder and Passover resonates now that we have gone through entering year 2 of this pandemic.
It's a message of redemption, that the difficulties and the challenges we will emerge from. And what was so necessary throughout this whole pandemic was that confidence and that hope and looking to the future, that we will get over this and we will emerge from that, and probably in some way better for the experience. There's a lot of good stuff that people have learned in terms of just the fact that people have to live together and interact on extended periods of time and in close quarters. So the cooperation, the population in general, it's shown that in some respect there were some great lessons learned. You mentioned the original the plagues back in the story of the Exodus from Egypt, which is approximately 3,300 years ago, a little more, 3,350 something. So the matzah that we put into the Seder-To-Go kit, everybody's familiar with the matzahs that are sold in the stores, the Passover matzahs. They're square, they're made by machine, mass-produced, and so forth. Back then, there were no machines. So when they baked matzah back in Egypt 3,300 years ago, it was handmade, beginning to end. And it was round matzahs. Ugot matzot is the word that's used in Hebrew. Round matzahs. So this is a very authentic, if I can show you this. This matzah right here is it's called a shmura matzah, special, handmade, just the way they did it thousands of years ago. So we include several of those in the Seder-To-Go kit. It gives a sense of authenticity. And again, it becomes a conversation piece, and we can explain what the origins of matzah are, and they go back for thousands of years.
The best education is the education through food. Final question, Rabbi. Given that we are in a plague year now, it would seem that something as important as Passover and as important as the Seder, as you said, links not only the present to the past and traditions, but gives people a sense of hope, of continuity, that things will go on. You are not alone in this. And I would imagine that for a lot of people, besides just getting the Seder-To-Go kit, and it's like, ooh, all I've got to do is follow the directions and I'm good. It was really touching because of that reminder.
That is true. That is true. And the absence of that worried people greatly, or the possible absence of that. So it was encouraging. Of course, it's a Passover program that we're doing, but beneath all of it is a caring element. It's just, think about what the needs are of people and how they might feel shortchanged in a year like this, that they won't have the celebration as they are accustomed to. And to make that more possible, I can't say that we made it identical to the events that they celebrated on Passover with their family in years past, but we certainly made it to a great extent more possible.
Rabbi Yousef Landa on the Seder-To-Go idea, which turned out to be a huge success. Rabbi, it was my honor and pleasure. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Same here, and thank you for having me.
Okay, I think we're good. Rabbi, it was a great idea. It was a genius idea. Congratulations to whoever came up with it.
And by the way, from last year in St. Louis to this year, it was replicated in hundreds of cities around the country. Similar concept.
Well, that is
we
that is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't get too good at this broadcasting business, and I'll try to stay out of theology.
Be well. Wonderful.
All right.
Wonderful. It's a deal.